Bitcoin Brown here. Hey, February 2nd, 2020, Super Bowl Sunday, Chiefs won. I told you, and I was one of the first people told you this was a lab leak. And again, you don't have to be a scientist, you don't have to be a doctor. You just have to be a detective. And you have to know when people are lying and bullshitting you. And the way they were covering for the communists, I knew they were up to something in that Wuhan lab. So there's kind of a sub cover story they keep playing like, well, the reason we did this research into this coronavirus was in case it ever got loose in the world and we'd know how to fight it. I don't believe that at all. I don't know where they discovered this thing or how they started manipulating it, but they were after something. And here's what I think they were after. President Obama had banned that research. And then so Fauci and the NIH and all these characters used EcoHealth Alliance, and they got around the law, and they moved that research out of the United States and Canada, because it was the University of Manitoba and the University of North Carolina, I think, was involved in this. And they moved all that research, the actual lab research, into the Wuhan lab in China, because that's what you do. You outsource everything to a communist regime that's antagonistic towards freedom, democracy in the West. That's what people have done for 20 years, and now it's biting us in the ass. So now it's over there. But why would they risk so much of their reputation? Like I know it's hard to believe, but I'm actually an academic, and I write papers and stuff for my doctorate stuff. But why would they risk so much? What were they after? And I think I know what the hell they were after. If you and someone smarter than me can do the research, because I'm not a biologist. I'm a computer guy. I'm a nuts and bolts computer guy. I run cables, I write programs, I put computers together. I'm a nuts and bolts guy. But look at those, and I can never say this word right, cyclotine, however you say it, cyclotine. Google says I pronounce it wrong. I practice, I can't get it right. So those things, those are those cyclotine storms that kill people. They have like a systemic reaction to it. And that's why the vaccines are more like an allergy shot. They prevent you from having a severe reaction to the cyclotine storm that affects you when the coronavirus invades your body. Now, so I noticed with Osiris, he stopped eating. I noticed someone at work, they had an appetite suppressant issue. So I started thinking about that. I said, that's affecting the hypothalamus of the brain. So that's how we started doing rehab on Osiris the cat, by giving him prednisone, the version cats can take. And we started giving him glucosamine. We put him on a different diet, protein that was really ground up so his body could absorb the protein molecules easier versus a big piece of, like you chew a big piece of steak and your body has to break that down. We already pre-broke everything down, like with kitten food and dried turkey and stuff. So anyway, all this stuff started coalescing in my mind about cyclotines and mitochondria DNA. And I said, what were these cats after? Because they sure as hell had no benevolent thought of protecting us against a virus that got loose. I think they were after the fountain of youth. I think they were after an immortality or life extension process using these phages, these viruses, and things of this sort that could rewrite your DNA. See, basically, we age because our DNA is goes through in simplistic terms, it's like constantly photocopying, or if you're old enough, mimeographing. You photocopy a piece of paper over and over again. It keeps fading and fading and fading and fading. So the original pattern gets lost. But if you could capture the pattern and then reprogram the DNA, the mitochondria, and I don't pretend to know all this stuff, I'm just a detective. I'm not a doctor. They could reset your biological clock. They could tell your body to rebuild it it's like a restore to a backup. That's why I started thinking as a computer guy, they're trying to restore you to a different version. They could start restoring your body to an older version from a backup, that they could use these mitochondria, phages, this coronavirus craziness they were into. They were looking for what the Spanish explorer Ponce de Leon was looking for, the fountain of youth. What the ancient, the medieval alchemists were looking for, how to turn, lead into gold, how to turn your lead DNA into gold DNA. This is what these cats were after. There's no way in hell they would risk everything for something less. But if they could come forward and tell their dear leader in China, the guy they elected for life, and said, dear leader, we can extend your life by centuries. We can make you live to 1,000 or 2,000 years old. Now that's what they were after, cats. They were after life extension. They were after an immortality drug, an elixir of life. This is what they were after, in my opinion, because they had to risk something for everything. For example, if you get cancer and they could have your DNA rewrite to 2 years ago, if they could take a pattern of you and rewrite you to 2 years ago with these viruses, these phages, these mitochondria rewriters, they could move you back and your body would reset itself, it would regrow itself back to a certain point in time. That's what they were after. They were after the elixir of life. They were after the chalice, the holy grail. They were after something that they could use to extend life. And this is what they're all about. This is their whole philosophy. Less people on earth, and then the people who are here, the elites could live forever. Because in our time period, people are fabulous. They're more wealthy than any time in life. But they still face the same problem, right? Mortality. Every one of us is going to die. We only have less. Every one of us has vastly less than a century to stay alive on this planet. And if you're a super rich guy and you're 60, 70 years old, your mortality is looming. So you would do anything to get another 10 years, 20 years. What if we gave you another 100 years or 1,000 years? That's why they risked everything for this damn virus. And that's why, in my opinion, they were so reckless and so feckless, and they killed all these people and ruined people's lives and all this insanity, because this is what they were after. They were after something like that, where they had some ultimate goal that this would give them. They didn't give a rat's ass about a potential virus that could hurt people, and they were going to do research to protect them. Not for this kind of money, not for these kind of stakes. These were the highest stakes ever when they unleashed this damn thing. So just like I told you in 2020 on Super Bowl Sunday, before anyone, I told you that it was a damn lab leak. Now, and I got the hell banned out of me. Now I'm telling you, they were after a life extension or a life or an age suppressing phenomena where the DNA wouldn't keep rewriting itself. You look at the crazy things that virus does, how it affects people so differently. And everyone's always confused. Well, of course, it's changing your DNA. It's affecting your brain. It's affecting everything. We need to get them to we need people start talking, and we need to see, you never hear Congress saying we want to see all that research. We want all that research out. You never hear that. I mean, it took a battle, and they attacked Pfizer. And I think I can say you're attacking the wrong group of people. Pfizer, yeah, okay, you want to beat up on Pfizer because they're trying to hide what they were doing with their vaccines. You really need to turn your ire away from Pfizer or Moderna, which, fine, but the real criminals are the people who unleashed this virus and created it. And everyone's still pretending it's not. Because a lot of high-profile people got a lot skin in the game here. Because if they can give them the elixir of life, the immortality drug, the chalice of Christ to keep them going, what would you pay for it? You would do anything. If you're rich enough, you'd kill anybody. You'd kill, like they did, you'd kill millions of people. You'd cripple millions of people to get that. That would be something you would be after. You don't have to be a doctor to figure it out. You don't have to be a scientist. You have to be a detective. Like, what was so valuable in this research that they were willing to risk everything and kill anybody they wanted to? And they got away with it, by the way. They got away with the biggest mass murder in history, and not one damn person says anything about it. 1 million Americans have died needlessly. You don't hear Congress say one effing word. Why? Why? Why is that? Because there's something they're after. And I say that by and I'm a dumbass, but I'm saying that if you look at those cyclotines and mitochondria and how the brain affects it and all this, because the brain does everything, right? Everything is done and managed by the brain. Your subconscious, your brain structure, it is causing all this to happen. These things just don't happen. The brain at its essence is directing all this to happen on a subconscious level. That's why all this weird shit's going on with this disease. That's my opinion. I can't prove it. I'm putting it out there so someone a lot smarter than me can start digging into this, saying, hey, this crazy man talking about immortality viruses might be onto something. Think it over. I think they're up to something. They want something out of it, and they didn't care about some rando virus. They were looking for the elixir of life.